Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope you people are fine. In our vibration lecture for week 2, this is the first lecture of week 2. So in previous lecture we people have gone through the elementary basic definitions of mechanical vibration and the practical application of mechanical vibrations. We people have studied about different vibrating systems and structures. So this is one of the document uh, in which most of the basics of the mechanical vibration are explained. So this lecture is from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. It's a Turkish university. So from this document I want to explain few basic things, because I think that before the numerical before the analytical modeling, you people should know the basics of the mathematical models. So what is vibration? Vibration is the oscillation of mechanical or structure system about an equilibrium position. It is oscillation of mechanical structure system about equilibrium position. Vibrations are normally initiated when an inertial element is displaced from the equilibrium position due to energy imparted to the system from external source. So if this vibrating system has some stiffness element, for example if a spring is attached to that vibrating element, then a restoring force or a conservating force is developed in a potential energy element. So what will happen? The kinetic energy that is provided to a block to displace it from mean position, it will be converted into the potential energy of a elastic element. So it will pull the element back toward the equilibrium position. A time will come when spring will dissipate energy of this block. So if we study the properties of this elastic element, for example spring element, it is during the analytical modeling we consider it as a linear element. It is vibration system linear element. Most of the vibration system consists of three main elements. For example, it may consist of some kind of mass, it may consist of a stiffness element and damping element. So in order to most of the general equations are non-linear, but in order to get the solution of the mechanical vibration equations, we need to consider that system is linear. And if we will use a linear approach, we have to consider that this elastic element have no mass and no damping. For example, if we are using elastic element like spring, then we will consider it massless as well as dampingless. So when block is released, the spring force pulls the block towards equilibrium position. In absence of this non-conservative forces, the transfer of energy is continual. So this block of mass m will continue to vibrate if we have no restoring force. So this was the example of mass spring system, and here we have a definition of mechanical vibration structures or mechanical systems. So this is about the simple pendulum. For example, when the pendulum is released from the position above equilibrium position, then what will happen? Because of the gravity force, because gravity force normally resolve into its two components. If it is a simple pendulum, then gravity force will be divided into its tangential component that will be acting against the tension of that string, and another component will be radial component that will be responsible for the movement of that bob. So what will happen? It will provide a non-conservative force. So this restoring force will help this bob to return to the equilibrium position. So if we will consider that there is no conservative force, for example there is no gravity force, then what will happen? The pendulum will oscillate about the vertical equilibrium position forever. So here we can see this is the mass spring system, this is the block of mass m, and this is the stiffness element k, and this is the simple pendulum that is hanged with a pivot point with the help of a string. Again, this string will be considered massless. So these are some of the incidents that occurred because of different modes of vibration. Most of the bridges collapsed because of that. I already shared all these cases. Why we study mechanical vibration? For example, it is studied vibrations can lead to the excessive deflections and failures of the machines and structures. To reduce vibration through proper design of machines and mountings, it utilized profitability in several consumer and industrial applications. So reliability of mechanical equipment can be enhanced in order to improve efficiency, to simulate earthquakes for geological research and so on. So basic elements of vibration are spring element, mass element or inertia, and damping or damper. So degrees of freedom already explained in previous lecture. These are all single degree of freedom systems. We can see that all of them have one mass and one possible type of motion. So possible degree of freedom are 1. So here in this case we can see the possible type of motion is only one, but masses are 2. For example, these are 2 masses, here again 2 masses, and here again this is the bob that is moving in one direction, and this is the mass spring element that is also moving in one direction. So direction of the movement is only 1 but 2 masses. So again answer of degree of freedom is 2. Here again we can see that these masses are not independent, but they depend upon each other motion because they are connected with each other with the help of springs. So again the type of motion only 1 and number of blocks are 3. So SDF is also 3. This is 3 degree of freedom case for a simple pendulum, and this is a beam. For example, simply it is a cantilever beam, and it is supported from one end, and on the other hand there is a deflection. So every point of the beam have a particular deflection value. So because it consists of a number of masses at different points, so it will consist of infinite number of degrees of freedom. If system have infinite number of degrees of freedom, then that system is called continuous or distributed system. And if system have finite number of degrees of freedom, then that system is called lumped system or discrete system. So what is the advantage of solving mechanical system with increase of number of degrees of freedom? The results will be more accurate. So what is free vibration? A system is left to vibrate on its own after the initial displacement. For example, simple pendulum. What is force vibration? External force is continuously applied. For example, in case of diesel engine. What is resonance? It occurs when the frequency of external force coincides with the natural frequency of the system. So this is the most essential condition. Whenever the frequency of external force will match the natural frequency of the system, and this is the point where there is a 100% chance that resonance will occur. What is undamped vibration? When there is no energy dissipation within the system. So system will vibrate with undamped energy. So this is the damped vibration system, when any energy is lost or dissipated with the help of some external element. So this will provide so oscillations will reduce its amplitude because of that external element known as temper. What is linear vibration? Most important thing. It will also come in your different analytical modeling cases, that system is considered linear. Why? When all the basic elements of vibrating system, for example mass, stiffness element and damping element. Whenever these elements are considered linear, their behavior is considered linear, then the whole vibrating system is linear. Okay, but if any of the element of vibrating system is considered non-linear, so it will provide a non-linear vibration, and this will provide a very complex or non-periodic signal, and that can be only solved with the help of advanced mathematical models. So what is deterministic vibration? If value or magnitude of excitation can be known at any given of time. For example, if you are applying force to a system and it is vibrating with respect to time, and you can measure the value of magnitude at any point of the system, so that system will provide a deterministic vibration. Here it is, example is given. For example, examples of random vibration. Here you can determine the value of vibration, for example, with respect to force and time at any point across the time period. But here it is a random excitation. You can see it is quite difficult to interpret the value of force with respect to time. So this is one of the best example how we can model different structures in the form of mechanical systems. For example, here you can see it is a forging hammer system, in which you can see this is the soil. On soil we have a foundation block. This foundation block is supported on the soil, and on this foundation block we have a elastic pad, and then after that we have placed an anvil on which we have placed a frame and top system. So we have to develop the mass spring model of this forging hammer. So we can see that this is soil and this is foundation block. We already know that there is always stiffness and damping provided by soil. So because of soil, stiffness and damping elements will always be present because of soil. So first of all, we will draw a single mesh between foundation block and soil that will act as a foundation block. So here we can see this is a foundation block and this is the ground, and in between these are the damping and stiffness elements of soil. So after this we have placed elastic pad. So we know that there is always some kind of stiffness and damping element provided by the elastic pads. So we will again draw damping and stiffness elements of elastic pad between anvil and foundation block. After this at the top we have a top. So this is top. So we can now analytically model this forging hammer system, and we can calculate its response. We can develop different mathematical equations, and we can also experimentally measure the vibration data by from the actual experiments, and we can compare the collected or experimental data with the analytical data, and with the help of curve fitting we can interpret different values of mechanical vibration structures. For example, when structure will resonate, and how we can make this system dynamically and statically stable. So what is spring element? Spring element in mechanical vibration, if it is considered to be for a solution of motion of equation of motion. So if we want to get the solution of equation of motion, we always have to consider different elements that are considered within the system as a linear. Linear spring is a type of mechanical link which have no mass and no damping. So stiffness force is provided as F is equal to Kx, where K is the stiffness element, X is the deflection of spring, and F is the restoring force of spring. So static deflection of beam can be calculated by this formula, where W is the mass into weight of mass of that beam into gravity value, L will be the length of beam, E will be the elasticity value of that beam, and I is the polar moment of inertia of that beam. We can calculate it with the help of already available formulas, and we can calculate the actual deflection of cantilever beam. So in this example we have considered that simple cantilever beam that is supported on the one hand, and on the other hand there is a applied load. So if we consider that cantilever beam just like a mass spring system, for example, the length of beam that will be providing a stiffness element, and at the whole mass of the beam to be considered at one point, then it will also act like a mass spring system, and we can calculate its natural frequency as well. So if in mechanical structures we see that springs are attached in a parallel, we have to add them in series in order to get the equivalent stiffness, and if springs are connected in series, we have to add the stiffness value in parallel in order to get the equivalent stiffness of that system. This is the case I was describing in previous example, this cantilever beam where at the end mass is attached, so its deflection can be considered like a mass spring system where stiffness of this spring is equal to stiffness of this beam, and this weight is equal to this weight. So we can analytically model this system in order to get its equation of motion and natural frequency of that system. So what is viscous damping? Damping force that is proportional to the velocity of the vibrating body in the fluid medium, that can be either air, water or gas. So it is the force that is proportional to the velocity of vibrating body in a fluid medium. And what is dry friction damping? Dry friction damping is always constant but always opposite in direction to that of the motion of body. So viscous damping is proportional to the velocity of body in moving fluid, and it is constant but related inversely with the motion of body between dry surfaces. So what is material solid or hysteresis damping? It is a type of damping in which energy is absorbed or released during the deformation. Why? Because of the friction of the internal layers of the material. So we can say whenever you hear the name of material damping or solid damping or hysteresis damping, these are all the names of same damping. In such type of damping, whenever external force is applied to the system, it will deform, and during its deformation it can either store or release energy because of the movement of internal layers of the material. What is harmonic motion? It is the simplest kind of simplest type of motion whose signal is considered to be periodic. In at FSC level, we have considered x of t is equal to a sin omega t. So if we will plot that signal in MATLAB, providing the value of time, we can get the sinusoidal wave depending upon the time period. So so x is equal to a sin omega t is the simplest displacement equation. We can get the equation of velocity by derivating it at one time, and equation of acceleration by derivating it two times. And again we can see that in case of acceleration, a is equal to minus omega square x. Again we can see that acceleration of body is directly proportional to displacement but inversely related to the position. So this was the document related to the elementary vibration. Now we will see some of the videos related to the mechanical vibration that will help you people to understand the application of these vibrating models. For example, mass spring system. This is the mass spring system, or simply simple pendulum system, or torsional vibration system. So in case of practical applications, for example, in case of a simple supported, for example, in the case of the mass spring system, already we have considered the example of a hammer forging machine. I do not need to explain it again. Its other application is with the design of the mass tuned observers that are normally attached with the buildings, they always act as a secondary source. So primary source will be the building. So during the earthquake, secondary source will absorb energy from the primary source and it will dissipate vibrations from the system. So building itself is the best example of the simple pendulum, and torsional vibrations normally occur whenever there is a speed fluctuation, for example in case of a crankshaft or flywheel, or in case of suspension wheels. So what is resonance? Already explained. Undamped vibration when there is no damping provided, damped vibration when there is energy dissipation, linear vibration when all elements are considered to be linear. So these are the elementary definitions of mechanical vibration. So now we will go for the video session. Please, first of all, I wanna explain the application of these dampers that are attached with the transmission system. In our previous class, most of the students requested that how vibration is controlled in transmission systems or transmission wires. So this is the one of the best example. Its link will be shared. This video is from the YouTube, and from where it is downloaded I will share the link in the slides. So in this video you people can see that dampers are attached with the transmission lines. So now check what is the advantage if we will operate these dampers. In current case, these dampers are in tight position with the transmission lines. We will cut off these fittings and then we will check either motion or vibration of the transmission system is increased or decreased. We can see it here. Vibration of transmission line is too much high. This transmission line is vibrating with highest amplitude. So now we will check what is the advantage of these twin dampers that are attached with the transmission lines. Here we can see now this primary vibrating structure, this is secondary vibrating structure. Secondary vibrating structure is absorbing energy from the primary vibrating structure, and a time will come when you will see that primary vibrating structure will come to rest, approximately equal to rest, and secondary structure will continue to vibrate. Please observe it critically. Here you can see that secondary structure is vibrating continuously, but primary structure is coming to rest with respect to time. So now you can see it is almost at rest and it is secondary structure that is vibrating. So this was the initial vibration of this transmission line, and this is the vibration of transmission line after applying a particular damping system. This is another video in which we can see that dampers are attached within the rocket system whenever they are launched from the earth within the space.
For this video, LEGO sent me some of their Saturn V rocket sets, but this isn't a video about space. I actually want to talk about the physics of how to keep tall things from shaking, like how to keep skyscrapers.
Again, this is the SimScale software. This model is generated on the SimScale. This rocket model is created with the help of a proper modeling, and proper numerical models are applied and data are stored, and initial and boundary conditions are applied, and after that different velocity and wind speed and pressure counters are captured. So let's observe.
Tall things from shaking, like how to keep skyscrapers from swaying too much in the wind or in an earthquake. The taller something is, the more liable it is to sway back and forth. So to demonstrate this, the Saturn V seemed by far like the best and coolest LEGO set for the job. So if you don't want your tall thing to sway, either because you're worried it'll fall apart, or you're worried it'll freak out the people inside, you could just make it stiffer, either by adding more stuff to it, or using more rigid materials, though this isn't always elegant and gets expensive fast. But there's another, clever solution. From a physics perspective, a tall thing like a building is really an upside-down pendulum. When it gets bent a little bit to one side, the building's natural stiffness pulls it back the other way, and so on. And there's a neat phenomenon that happens with pendulums when you attach two of them together with a spring. They start swapping energy back and forth. The first one oscillates, then both together, then the other has all the oscillations, then the first again, and so on. The same thing happens with solid blocks connected with springs, too, or really any two oscillating things that are coupled together. In a perfect frictionless simulation, this energy swapping will go on forever, but
here in this case again you can see this is a 2 degree of freedom system in which this is a primary building vibrating structure, and at its one end we have attached a tuned damper. So we can see that how secondary element is absorbing energy from the primary element and dissipating energy. Please see it.
in the real world, there's friction and air resistance, and the spring itself might heat up, all of which cause the objects to lose energy and the oscillations to dampen over time. This phenomenon
So almost vibration was seen to be dampened after the application of a secondary vibrating element.
is what you can use to discourage your upside-down pendulum from shaking in ways you don't want it to. A big, tall object is going to want to sway back and forth at its own natural frequency of swaying, which depends on its height, weight, and stiffness. If you then attach a smaller object to it that can sway to and fro, and add a little friction or drag, then anytime the big object trades its energy to the little object loses the energy to friction rather.
This is one of the best and practical example of application of mass tuned damper with the tallest building. As a secondary element, it is absorbing energy from the primary element, and you can see its practical application at tallest buildings that are operating within the world. For example, in case of Burj Khalifa and other tallest buildings, so they are installed there.
Rather than trading it back to the big object, and this dampens out the big object's oscillations. In practice, you normally put the little object inside the big object, which looks more like this, but the principle is the optimal combination of weight and friction and spring strength for the little object. And only with your setup perfectly tuned will you get the fastest possible loss of energy and the best slowing down of the shaking. That's why Saturn V rockets. In one of the rockets, I've put a weighted pendulum in the place the lunar module should go, while the other just has the weights stuck in place. If all goes well, and if I've done my math right, then when I bump the table, the rocket with the pendulum should sway a lot less than the rocket without. As you can see, the tuned mass damper does actually help, though it's a bit subtle. Here's a graph of the motion of the rocket in each case, which makes it more obvious. And though tuned mass dampers definitely weren't used in the Saturn V rocket in this way, since this is where the lunar module went, they are used in many modern skyscrapers, and even in other things that aren't buildings, though they're usually hard to notice. For example, if you look closely at power lines, a lot of them have this little dumbbell thing on them, which is a tuned mass damper, that keeps the lines from shaking too vigorously in the wind. And tuned mass
It is known as torque bridge damper that is used across the transmission lines. In case of bridges, mass tuned dampers are also used to absorb the bridges vibration, and also in case of the piping vibrations at industrial level, mechanical engineers install mass tuned dampers in order to dissipate maximum amount of energy, unwanted energy. Basic advantage of mass tuned dampers is that we can adjust the value of mass and stiffness for the maximum dissipation of energy. So we will study the complete design of a damper in our mechanical vibration course as well, and design of shock absorbers as well. We will also solve multiple degree of freedom systems, and we will go for different systems that are used for the solution of our vibrating structures, like Newton method, energy method, Rayleigh's method as well. We will also go for multiple mode shapes solutions of equations.
dampers have been used to reduce unwanted vibrations in airplanes.
So it has a numerous practical applications. I think it is enough now. We have to start the analytical modeling of the vibrating structures. We will go for 3 vibrating structures. One of them will be mass spring system, simple mass spring system, that will be of 1 degree of freedom, and then we will go for a single degree of freedom simple pendulum system, and at the end we will generate an analytical model for single degree of freedom torsional vibration system. So please remain in touch for the next video. Thank you very much. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum dear students. So after the elementary vibration concepts, now we are going for the analytical modeling of different mathematical systems. We will go for the single degree of freedom, mass spring system, simple pendulum system and torsional vibration system analytical modeling concepts. So before going for the major concepts, I wanna show you some of the useful slides for mass spring system. So before going to that, let's see the following slides. Thank you. Start. You people know that we have already covered introduction to mechanical vibrations. Now we are going for the formulation of governing equations that will be useful for different mechanical systems. Vibration modeling. So before going for the mathematical modeling, I wanna explain one of the basic concept of vibration. In most of the industrial cases, we people experience that in addition to amplitude and time analysis, we people also need to understand motion vectors or phase motion. So I wanna explain, because in these analytical derivations we people will also derive different resultants of the solutions of equations of motion for mass spring system, and we will also determine the phase of the system. Why we need to determine the phase, what will be its advantage? So let's start with the simplest example of phase motion. In this example you people can see that this spring is supported from the one end with the help of hand, and it will help as a shaker. In this case it will this hand will provide the external force or external harmonic motion, and with the help of that motion this spring will vibrate. At the end of this spring it is almost considered as a stiffness element that is massless, and also it have and also you can consider that it has a zero damping element. At the end of this mass spring system you can consider that at end there is some kind of mass that is attached. So you will see that when he will shake his hand, you have to observe the frequency of vibration. For example, at the initial stage you will check that this hand is vibrating with small time period or large time period, and how much amplitude, and what is the effect of the frequency of the hand vibration upon the vibration of the mass. Please play the video. Click here. Yes, please share. Here you can see he is providing large amplitude and small frequency vibrations, and now he is increasing the frequency but small amplitude vibration. Please see it again. Before seeing it again, I wanna explain one of the concept. Let's talk about the phase in vibration. When describing oscillating systems, we often describe the output vibration as being in phase or out of phase. So in this case you people will see when he is providing low frequency vibration, then motion is in phase, and vibration amplitude of the mass is also small and in phase. But as the frequency of vibration is increasing, then as a result motion of vibration of that mass is out of phase and it is vibrating with large amplitude. So however you will increase or decrease the motion of the amplitude, if the frequency of the system is large, then either your amplitude of vibration is large or small, your system will go out of phase, but you will see that vibration of that particular mass will be too high. So let's observe again. Please move the next slide. Please run it. At the beginning, hand is providing low frequency, and you can see low amplitude vibrations. Now he is increasing the frequency of shaking, and you can see motion is out of phase, going out of phase. Initially, again please replay it. Initially, when the frequency of vibration is low, then you can see that mass is moving with the hand up and down, up and down. So this in-phase motion is only for the small frequency vibrations. So if there is external source of high frequency, then system will move out of phase and it will vibrate with high frequencies. Please move the coming slides. So this is the all description of in-phase and out-phase motion. You people can check it from the provided slides. These slides will be uploaded on the Google Classroom. So वाइब्रेशन मॉडलिंग बाय फोर्स मेथड. सो न्यूटन मेथड भी आप इसको कह सकते हैं. इन एडिशन वी कैन आल्सो अप्लाई एनर्जी मेथड और रेलेस मेथड in order to drive the equation of motion for the simple spotted pendulum model, mass spring model or torsional vibration model. We will solve these models one by one. Let's start vibration modeling by force method for simple mass spring system. Let's consider the mass M, block of mass M that is connected to a fixed port with the help of spring of stiffness K. This spring is considered linear. Its behavior is considered linear. So you can say that the mass of the spring is too low and it has no damping effect. Initially this block is at rest. So at S of t you will see that when external force will be applied, then this block will move to and fro motion with deformation in that spring. So in static case, when this block is static, there will be no deflection. And in case of dynamic case, when there is the application of external force, we will solve it with the help of a free body diagram. Stop it. We will drive it on the board. So please consider this horizontal approach for the mass spring system. This is single degree of freedom system. You people know well, because it consists of one mass and only one possible type of motion. So 1 into 1, it has only possible one type of motion. So this system will have a one natural frequency, one resonant frequency, one mode shape, and several other parameters we can drive as well. So with respect to horizontal approach, we can see that in static case there will be no deflection because body is at rest. This is the body of mass M that is attached to this fixed port with the help of a linear spring. Spring is considered to be linear because we will consider that the mass of the spring is negligible. So also damping effect is also negligible. So initially we can say that there is no deflection, but after providing the external force, we will see that this thing will so when we will apply external force ms double dot, so in addition this spring will go to store elastic energy. As a result of that bow will or that mass will move to and fro. So as a result it will generate restoring force. Restoring force is denoted by kx because its direction is opposite, so it will be negative. So with respect to simple approach of Newton's method, we can consider that summation f is equal to mx double dot, or we can say minus kx is equal to mx double dot, or we can say mx double dot plus kx is equal to 0, or we can say s double dot plus k divided by m into x is equal to 0. We have divided this equation number 1 with m. Divide equation 1 बाई एम। ये एम को हमने इसको क्यों डिवाइड किया? एक्चुअली ये जो इनर्शियल टर्म होती है उसको हम डिवाइड कर देते हैं ताकि इनर्शियल टर्म जो होती है हमेशा वो जब हम उसको जस्ट यहाँ पे एक्सेलरेशन की टर्म यहाँ पे रह जाती है तो यहाँ पे कोई इनर्शियल की टर्म नहीं होती, वो हम उसको यहाँ पे डिवाइड कर देते हैं। तो ये जब टर्म सेपरेट हो जाती है तो एज अ रिजल्ट जो इक्वेशन एक्स के साथ बनती है वी विल कंसिडर दैट एज अ rotational natural frequency of system. So this is called omega n. Omega n square is equal to k divided by m. This is the analytical formula that is, or omega n is equal to k divided by m square root. And what will be units? Units will be radians per second. Radians per second. So this is the rotational natural frequency known as omega n. So we can say rotation natural frequency of a system depends upon the stiffness of the spring and mass of the block. So we have derived the dependence of the system natural frequency. Now we will go to calculate the natural frequency of the system. That will be, already we people know omega is equal to 2 pi into f, and what will be f? Fn is equal to 1 over 2 pi into omega, and Fn is equal to 1 over 2 pi square root of k over m. And what will be its unit? Its unit will be cycles per second or hertz. This is the unit of the frequency term. So this is the horizontal approach that is used for the mass spring system with the assumption that attached spring is with linear behavior, and this is the inertial element that is displaced from the initial position. This is the radial natural frequency, and this is the natural frequency of this system in hertz. Please stop it. Now we will use the force method, Newton method with vertical approach for the mass spring system. In this case, again we can see that consider a block of mass m that is supported with the fixed structure with the help of a linear spring. Again we will use the same approach, that spring is considered to be linear, of no mass and no damping parameter. Initially, in static case, this mass is at rest. So we will solve it for static and dynamic case. For static case, mass was at rest and it is displaced from the initial position. When inertial force will be applied, for example ms double dot, that was applied to this mass. As a result, at initial stage there was actual length of spring that is represented by the delta. Actual length of spring was delta, and when external force was applied, there was extension in the spring. Extension in the spring was x. For example, if this is the area of extension that is considered to be x, then the whole spring length is delta into delta plus x, and the mass of the block is again m. So for first case or static case, in static case we will resolve that block into different components if force is acting or not. With Newton method, we people know that there is at initial case, because static case there is no force acting, so summation F is equal to 0. So how much force is acting? For example, on this mass there will always be a gravity force that will be acting at the center. In addition, when gravity force will act, then there will be some kind of deflection within the spring. So that is represented by delta. So this is represented by mg force, and one of the forces minus delta x. that is the restoring force. So what will happen? We will write ms double dot, because this term is 0, summation f is equal to 0, so there will be no ms double dot. So simply what we have weight minus delta x is equal to 0, or weight is equal to delta x. So this is the first equation. In second case, what will happen? Is it visible? This area is visible? Okay. Second case is dynamic case. Dynamic case. What will happen in this case? In this case, you people know, again we have to resolve the block of mass m with different forces affecting on it. For example, we know that now there is external force acting upon it, for example mx double dot, and you people know that now deflection will be minus k into delta plus x. So what will happen? We will have mx double dot is equal to minus k into delta plus x, minus k into delta plus x, and also weight is also acting. So okay, so we know that now two forces in dynamic case, two forces are acting. One is the external force, other is the weight force, and in case of restoring force we have actual deflection and actual length of the spring. So we have expressed it here, and now we will solve it. What we will get? W plus mx double dot is equal to minus k delta minus kx. We know what is W. W is equal to delta x. Replacing value plus ms double dot is equal to minus k delta minus kx. Stop करें एक मिनट. Okay. In static case, we have resolved the mass and we will get only the deflection because of the weight of that block, and that was W is equal to K delta, K into K delta. Okay, so this was mistake, because when you will, this will be weight component and this will be K into delta component. So that was the main mistake we have previously made. So W is equal to Kx, or already explained. So in case of dynamic motion, we people will have mx double dot is equal to summation f is equal to external, summation f external is equal to mx double dot. So what will happen? Ms double dot is equal to sum of all forces. So what about the sum of all forces? We have minus k into delta plus x, okay, plus k delta. So what will happen? Minus k delta minus kx plus k delta, that is equal to mx double dot. So these terms will cancel with each other, minus k delta plus k delta, and we will get mx double dot plus kx is equal to 0. Finally we will get this equation, mx double dot plus kx is equal to 0. Now we have to estimate natural frequency of this mass spring system. We know that we have to divide the inertial term with this, so we will get rid of this. So s डबल डॉट प्लस k डिवाइड बाई m इंटू एक्स इज इक्वल टू 0. ये हम क्यों करते हैं, जो मैस होता है वो इनर्शियल टर्म के साथ वो हम क्यों डिवाइड करते हैं, ताकि जो ये कंपोनेंट है ये मैसलेस हो जाए यहाँ से, और हम जो है उसकी नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी को फाइंड कर सकें. ये एक मैथमेटिकल रूल है नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी को फाइंड करने का. सो एट द एंड व्हाट वी हैव ओमेगा एन स्क्वायर इज इक्वल टू k डिवाइड बाई m. दिस इज अगेन एनालिटिकल फार्मूला. सो ओमेगा एन इज इक्वल टू k डिवाइड बाई m. दिस इज द रोटेशन नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी ऑफ सिस्टम दैट इज इन रेडियंस per second. And how we can calculate natural frequency? Natural frequency is equal to Fn is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi k divided by m, and that will be in hertz or cycles per second. किसी को अगर ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है समझने में कि नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी में कैसे कन्वर्ट किया है, तो इसको इसमें कन्वर्ट करने में जो हमारे पास मेजर फार्मूला है वो ओमेगा इज इक्वल टू 2 पाई एफ है. अगर किसी को प्रॉब्लम आ भी रही है तो एनीवेज अगेन यू कैन सी यूजिंग द हॉरिजॉन्टल एंड वर्टिकल अप्रोच वी हैव द सेम रोटेशनल नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी एंड नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी इन साइकिल्स पर सेकंड फॉर दिस mass spring system. So this was the first analytical modeling program in which we have learned how to estimate the natural frequency of simple single degree of freedom mass spring system. Now we will solve some of the complex mass spring systems. For example, we will learn how to calculate natural frequency or equivalent stiffness element for these structures. For example, in some of the vibration cases we have equivalent springs that are attached with the block M. For example, consider the stiffness of the spring as K1 and stiffness of the spring as K2, and you are asked for the calculation of a natural frequency of the system. So we know that springs are attached in parallel, and we have to first of all calculate equivalent stiffness element. That will be K equivalent is equal to K1 plus K2. Already explained why. So what we do simply Fn is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi into K equivalent divided by m. Just hertz will be unit. So ये K equivalent की जो वैल्यू आप यहाँ से स्टार्ट करेंगे. So this is one of the case, parallel case. एंड पैरेलल केस के लिए मैंने ये आपको बता दिया. सीरीज़ केस में अगर स्प्रिंग्स अटैच्ड हैं आपस में तो उनको कैसे सॉल्व करना है आपने. फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज स्प्रिंग 1, स्प्रिंग 2, दिस इज मैस, दिस इज K1, दिस इज K2, एंड यू आर आस्क्ड फॉर द नेचुरल फ्रिक्वेंसी ऑफ दिस सिस्टम. व्हाट विल हैपन, 1 डिवाइड बाई K इक्विवेलेंट, 1 divided by K1 plus 1 divided by K2, because springs are in parallel and we have to add them in series, and at the end what we have to do, this will be K1 K2, this will be K1 plus K2, this will be 1 divided by K equivalent. So what will be the value of K equivalent? K equivalent is equal to K1 K2 divided by K1 plus K2. So this is the value of K equivalent, and finally we can calculate natural frequency of the system f as Fn is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi into K equivalent divided by m, where m is the mass of this block and K equivalent value will be stated from here, and for this case its value will be stated from here. Let me highlight. So this is the end of the analytical modeling for the mass spring system. In coming lectures we will solve the analytical model for the simple pendulum and torsional vibration system, and after that in coming week lectures inshallah we will go for numerical problems. Thank you. So previously we have determined the natural frequency for the mass spring system, and now we have also derived the equation of motion for the simple mass spring system. So this was about the system mass m that was displaced from the initial position with the external force, and this was the actual stiffness of the spring. So what was the equation of motion? Mx double dot plus kx is equal to 0. In some cases we are asked for the solution of this second order partial differential equation. We can calculate the equation of motion solution only if we will consider the motion of the mass spring system as simple harmonic motion. So considering simple harmonic motion, and in case of solution of second order partial differential equation, what will be the solution? X of t is equal to a of sine omega t plus b cos omega t. So that was the equation 1, and this is the equation 2. This is the most general equation for the solution of equation of motion for second degree of partial differential equations. X of t is equal to a sin omega t plus b cos omega t, where a and b are constants, and we can determine the value of these constants with the help of initial conditions or boundary conditions. Boundary conditions, we can say using boundary conditions calculate a and b. So what are boundary conditions? We have two boundary conditions. First boundary condition is that consider x of 0 is equal to x naught, and second boundary condition is consider x naught 0 is equal to v naught. This is displacement and this is velocity. So at time t is equal to 0, consider initial displacement as x. Sorry, this is not s naught, this is only x. And at time t is equal to 0, consider initial velocity as v naught. So we will put these boundary conditions one by one in equation 2. Putting in equation 2. So from first boundary condition, what will happen? First boundary condition, x of 0 is equal to x naught. So when we will put value of time here, x of 0 is equal to x naught is equal to a sin, क्योंकि टाइम की वैल्यू 0 तो sin 0 is equal to 0, this thing will be 0, and cos 0 is equal to 1, so b is equal to x naught. So this is the result. We will get b is equal to x naught. This is the value of beta, and now we will get the value of a from the second boundary condition. What is second boundary condition? This is your second boundary condition, in which we will consider x naught 0 is equal to v naught, and that is equal to it is very simple. आप इसका फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव लें और उसके बाद उसमें जो है वो t की वैल्यू 0 पुट करें. सो जब आप इसका इक्वेशन 2 का फर्स्ट डेरिवेटिव लेंगे तो वो इक्वेशन ऑलमोस्ट बनेगी. आई थिंक मैं डेरिवेटिव पहले ले लूँ. यहाँ पे मैं डेरिवेटिव आपको लेके दिखा देता हूँ. डेरिवेटिव ऑफ इक्वेशन 2, डेरिवेटिव ऑफ इक्वेशन 2. So what we will get? This is equation 2. X naught t is equal to, this is a sin omega t, and we will get a omega cos omega t minus b omega sine omega t. This is your equation number 3. This is your equation number 3. So again, putting the second boundary condition, we will have from equation number 3 implies from second boundary condition. आप इसमें जो है वो वैल्यू जब पुट करेंगे तो आपके पास क्या आंसर आएगा, वी नॉट इज इक्वल टू, यहाँ पे वी नॉट आएगा सिंपली, हेयर इट इज़ वी नॉट, सॉरी हेयर वी नॉट इज इक्वल टू cos 0 1, so it will be yes omega, a into omega. What will be value of a is equal to v naught divided by omega. So this is the value of a and this is the value of b, this is the value of a and this is the solution of this equation of motion. So putting the values, we have x of t is equal to, what is a, v naught omega sin omega t plus what is value of b, it is x naught and cos omega t. So this is the solution of the equation of motion for the simple mass spring system of 1 degree of freedom. Now if we want to calculate the resultant amplitude, so we can calculate it as r is equal to v naught divided by omega into whole square plus x naught into whole square, and this is the resultant value. And if we want to determine the phase, and this was for the amplitude, phase के लिए क्या करेंगे आप लोग, सिंपल फार्मूला, phase is equal to tan inverse of x naught divided by v naught divided by omega n. So we have to put the value of the initial displacement, initial velocity and omega n. So at time t is equal to 0, whatever the value of x naught and v naught and put the value of natural frequency, we will get the phase, and from this phase we will determine and natural frequency values although the amplitude is going in phase or out phase. So this was the complete solution of the single degree of freedom mass spring system. In the coming lecture we will go for the simple pendulum system. Thank you. Now let's start the most general form of the mechanical system, for example simple pendulum system. It is the most general form of the mechanical structures. So in order to get the natural frequency or equation of motion of the different possible equations, we will solve the system and at the end we will get the natural frequency value. Before starting for the analytical modeling, I want to clear one of the thing, that there are some of the assumptions that will be considered for the simple pendulum system. For example, in this case we have to consider that it is the most general case. For example, 1 degree of freedom, it have a 1 degree of freedom. In second, we have to consider that the string with the help of which bob is attached to the pivot point, it is again massless. And the third point we have to consider about this derivation is that we have to consider that the system is behaving linearly. Why? Normally all the solutions are non-linear, but we consider the solution to be linear in order to approximate the closest possible solution of the with the help of analytical modeling, because non-linear systems are not easy to solve. Not easy to solve analytically. So we will go for the simplest case and we will consider system to be behaving linearly, and we will, for the linear behavior of the system, we have also to consider that we are displacing the bob from the equilibrium position to the maximum possible position. So that angular displacement is minimum in such a way that value of angular displacement is equal to sinusoidal value of that angular displacement. अगर आप उस वैल्यू का साइन थीटा लें और उस वैल्यू को थीटा ही रखें तो वो क्लोजेस्ट होंगे. तो आप बेशक चेक कर सकते हैं फॉर द स्मॉलेस्ट वैल्यू साइन थीटा ऑलमोस्ट अप्रोचेज थीटा. Consider it is a simple pendulum system, a bob of mass m that is attached to a massless string. This spring is pivoted at point O and length of this string is L. There is initially no angular displacement. After this we will provide angular displacement of theta and we will get this is the angular displacement we have provided and this is the bob of mass m. Now one thing to consider is that in this case we can see that initially there is a force, for example gravity force, that is because of weight, that is equal to mg, and this force will equal to tension in string. Similarly in this case, because now gravity force will be resolved into two components, although we know that tension in the spring will be T and weight or gravity force will resolve into two components, so parallel component will be mg cos theta and normal component will be mg sine of theta, and this length of string is L. Now we are going to derive the equation of motion for this system with the help of Euler's equation. We people know Euler's equation. Sum of all moments about pivot point O, this is point O, sum of all moments about pivot point O is equal to I theta double dot, that means polar moment of inertia of this bob into angular acceleration that is achieved for this system. So we know what is summation of all moments about pivot point O, and this is the term that is used as the product of polar moment of inertia of that bob into angular displacement. It is sometimes also represented in some books as alpha, so please don't worry, this is also its representation. Solving this system we will get, because we have considered this motion, because this motion will be considered with the negative sign. So is first of all I want to explain what will be the tangential component. Tangential component will be simply T and this will be mg cos theta, so we will get T is equal to mg cos theta. This will be the tangential component, and now we will get the radial component. What will be the radial component of this pendulum? That will be, radial component will be mg sin theta, and what will be its moment about pivot point O, so mg sin theta into L जब हम इसको solve कर रहे होंगे. So with respect to radial component we will get summation m naught is equal to I theta double dot, or we can write it as minus mg sine of theta into L. What is L? L is the length of string, that is equal to I theta double dot, or we can write it as I theta double dot plus mg sine of theta, and sorry, you can write it as mgl, simple mgl mgl sin theta is equal to 0. So this is the equation of motion of this simple pendulum system. All the general equations are non-linear, but we have to linearize this system in order to get the solution of this equation. So considering that angular displacement is very small in such a way that sin theta will almost approach theta. So for all such cases, in order to linearize the solution, we will get I theta double dot is equal to I theta double dot plus mgl is equal to 0. Now again I have already explained. Is it visible? This part visible? Now in this case we have to calculate natural frequency. I have already explained that please divide the inertial term. So we have I theta double dot plus mgl is equal to 0. Dividing by a polar moment of inertia, we will get theta double dot plus mgl divided by I that is equal to 0. So what is omega n? So this component is omega n. What is omega n? Omega n is equal to mgl divided by I. This is the rotational natural frequency of the system for simple pendulum system. In case of simple pendulum system, how we can calculate I? Because I know what is m is the mass of the bob, what is g is the value of gravity 9.8, what is l is the length of string, what is I? We can calculate this polar moment of the bob with the simple formula I is equal to mk square. This formula is used to calculate polar moment of inertia, with m is the point mass and k square. What is k? What is m? M is the point mass. What is k? K is the radius of gyration. Now what is radius of gyration? It is the distance from the center of bob to the pivot point. So simply you can see it is L in this case. So value of polar moment of inertia in this case is IP is equal to ml square, since k is equal to L. So put this value in omega n. So we will get the final equation of rotational natural frequency as omega n is equal to mgl divided by ml square, and cancelling this thing, we will get omega n as g divided by L. Units are radians per second. And what will be the actual natural frequency in hertz? So we have calculated the rotational natural frequency of the simple pendulum system. Now we are going to calculate the natural frequency in cycles per second as Fn is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi into g divided by L, and its value will be in hertz. So this formula was derived in your FSC syllabus as well. It was directly derived, so almost we have derived it completely for the linear solutions. Please keep in mind this derivation. It will be very helpful to solve different numerical problems in future. So in our next few minutes, we will now go for the torsional vibration system. Please stop. Now we will go for the torsional vibration system case. For example, this is the case that is normally used for the torsional vibration systems. These kind of general vibrations are normally observed in the case where we have a load fluctuation or where we have a speed fluctuation. So whenever we have a speed fluctuation, for example, in case of our crankshafts, flywheels, in case of our steam turbines, gas turbines, and all of the mechanical structures where there is a rotational movement, you will observe a torsional vibration. And in some cases, these torsional vibrations are so critical that they lead to the cyclic loading, and at the end it will lead to the destruction of that system. So before driving the analytical model for the single 1 degree of freedom system, let us consider that our system is 1 degree of freedom system. What is observance? Consider we have a shaft whose at other end disc is attached. So in this case we have to consider that the attached shaft, it have a stiffness Ks, but it have almost negligible mass, and this is the disc. Disc has polar moment of inertia of disc IP और J से भी इसको रिप्रेजेंट किया जाता है. और इसके अलावा इसमें जो कंसिडरेशंस हैं वो ये हैं कि shaft is considered massless while disc has a mass. Shaft is considered element which have a stiffness element Ks, and it is flexible while disc is not flexible. So now we will go for the actual derivation. Consider we have a shaft that is fixed from one end it has length from center to center as L. This is the pivot point, this is the fixed point where the shaft is attached, and we are providing, this is the polar moment of inertia IP of this disc, and this is the stiffness value of the shaft. Consider we are providing it angular displacement theta. Angular displacement theta. What is angular displacement? It is actually twist. We are providing theta as angular displacement. And what is this angular displacement? This is actually twist. So this is the excitation force. Twist force जब तक आप जो है वो डिस्क पे नहीं अप्लाई करेंगे तो ऑब्वियसली इसमें जो डिफ्लेक्शन नहीं होगी. फॉर एग्जांपल आपने जो ट्विस्ट प्रोवाइड किया वो थीटा का किया यहाँ पे, तो इसमें जो भी डिफ्लेक्शन या जो भी ट्विस्ट पैदा होगा एज अ रिजल्ट यहाँ पे भी ट्विस्ट इंड्यूस होगा. सो लेट अस कंसिडर जो ट्विस्ट आपने यहाँ पे अप्लाई किया और जो डिफ्लेक्शन यहाँ पे आएगी, आई डू नॉट नो वो थीटा की वैल्यू यहाँ पे क्या होगी, बिकॉज यहाँ पे ज़्यादा डिफ्लेक्शन होगी तो शाफ्ट की स्टिफनेस के मुताबिक यहाँ पे वो डिफ्लेक्शन इंड्यूस करेगा. सो नाउ वी कैन कंसिडर दैट actually we are applying the twisting force and that is correlated with the angular displacement. So there is a direct relation between angular displacement and twist force. This is angular displacement and this is twist force. We can correlate as minus Ks into delta. This is the proportionality constant, and when we will eliminate the proportionality constant we will get the Ks, where Ks is the stiffness of the shaft. So we can eliminate value of Ks as delta divided by theta, tau divided by theta, and that is correlated in the books of the mechanics of material as Gj divided by L. What is G? G is modulus of rigidity. Modulus of rigidity. What is J? This is polar moment of inertia of disk. Polar moment of inertia of disk. What is L? Again, it is the length of the shaft, already explained. Now, again, with the help of Newton's law, that sum of all moments about pivot points, for example, O is equal to I into theta double dot. So, for example, as a product of polar moment of inertia and angular acceleration. What is theta double dot? This is angular acceleration. Now, again, what will be the moment value? Moment value will be Ks into theta. Ks into theta. And sorry, this is a restoring force. You will be displaying here negative sign because it is a restoring force. So solving this equation, we will get I theta double dot plus Ks into theta is equal to 0. Again, dividing inertial term with Ks over I into theta is equal to 0. And from the previous models, we have already calculated that omega n is equal to Ks over I, where IP means polar moment of inertia. यहाँ पे भी आप लगा सकते हैं IP. So units will be again radians per second, and it is the nature frequency, but in radial form. So what is question? Again, Ks value can be calculated from the stiffness of shaft, but what will be IP? IP can again be calculated with the help of this formula. I is equal to mk square, where m is the point mass and k is the radius of gyration. So what is k? K in case of disk, radius of gyration of disk. So please note down, radius of gyration of disk is normally observed as r divided by square root of 2. This is analytical formula already derived by mathematicians. So please also see its derivation from the internet. Although radius of gyration of disk is found to be as radius of this disk divided by square root of 2. So when we will put this value here, and we will put the value of we can get the value of I easily, because we can calculate the value of radius of this disk, and when we will put here, we will get value of k, and we will put value of k here. Already we have mass of this disk, and we can calculate polar moment of inertia. And if we are asked for calculating nature frequency, we can calculate it as Fn is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi Ks divided by IP. Again, cycles per second or hertz is the unit. Please keep in mind, angular force plays a same role in torsional vibration case as the linear force plays in case of linear vibration. For example, in case of linear vibration, we have F is equal to ma, and in case of angular vibration, we have tau is equal to I alpha. So actually I want to correlate this formula as this is the linear force, this is the twist force. So difference between linear and twist force is, again we can see the coherence. For example, this is the linear force and this is the twist force. This is the simple mass and this is the polar mass, and this is the acceleration, linear acceleration, this is the angular acceleration term. So we can say that twist force plays the same role in angular movement as force in the linear motion or linear movement. So this was the derivation of the 1 degree of freedom torsional vibration system, and now we will see what is the practical application of torsional vibration, why we have gone through such analytical models. Please spend your few minutes. Thank you. This is one of the torsional vibration problem of a turbine rotor. This research paper is available on internet with name Fatigue, Damage and Failure of Steam Turbine Rotors by Torsional Vibration. This paper was published in Strength of Materials, volume 42, number 1 in 2K10. In this paper, they have explained the abstract as the word experience or long-term operation of a turbine units of thermal and nuclear power stations allows the conclusions to be drawn that one of the cause of accidents and catastrophic failures of turbine rotors is fatigue damage accumulation due to the torsional vibrations of shafting systems. This is indicated by the accidents at a thermal power station in the USA, at the State District Power Station number 4 in Russia, at one of the overhauled power generating units of the system. Please go down at the conclusion, slowly go down. So again you can see these are the torsional movements. Go down. This is the that above was the different analytical and numerical models, and this is again conclusion. In conclusion, we can see analysis of torsional vibration of the shafting of K213 3-stream turbine which occur as a result of a SC on the turbo generator shows that in shafting elements there may be a fatigue damage because of the load fluctuations, the level of which is determined in the general case by the torsional cyclic strength of the shafting material, reactionary torque पैरामीटर्स एंड वाइब्रेटिंग डैम्पिंग लेवल इन दी मैकेनिकल सिस्टम। तो इसमें उन्होंने ये बताया कि अगर हम एक प्रॉपर डैम्पिंग लेवल मेंटेन करें टॉर्शनल वाइब्रेशन के केस में, और इसके अलावा इसकी जो फ्यूचर कॉन्टीन्यूस मॉनिटरिंग हो, तो हम इन सिस्टम्स को जो है वो प्रॉपर कर सकते हैं प्रॉपर। So this is another research article related to the torsional vibrations in steam turbine shafts. In this article, a complete analysis of the steam turbine shafts is analyzed. Please go down. Yes. So I am telling you people summary. Vibration problems in nuclear power plants can originate from different sources. One of these is torsional vibration in shaft trains, which have become more interesting in recent years. Electricity production in the grid is more and more performed by sources like wind and solar functioning without large rotating masses. Also, the structural optimization of shaft trains has gone very far, leading to the reduced margins, and some combined lateral torsional vibration phenomena have been observed. So इसमें भी यही प्रॉब्लम जो है वो सारे के सारे उन्होंने डिस्कस किए हैं। ये आप लोग जो है इसमें ये रिसर्च आर्टिकल आपसे शेयर कर दिया जाएगा, आप इसमें स्टडी कर सकते हैं कि why you people are studying these analytical models for and different vibrating systems. Again, here you can see these are the torsional shaft. This is the torsional shaft. How many masses? 1 2 3 4 5 6 masses, and if we will consider the one type of motion, then it will have 6 degrees of freedom, and you have to find out the corresponding natural frequencies, resonant frequencies, and corresponding mode shapes as already calculated in this paper. So this is very interesting paper. If you have enough time, please go through it. Its link will be shared in the description. And in addition, most of the methods that are used for the calculation of angular torque, movements, inertial forces, and linear forces, and different development of the instrumentation system with strain gauges is also discussed in this research paper. I hope you have enjoyed this session for the analytical modeling of a single degree of freedom systems. In coming lectures, inshallah, we will go for a compound pendulum and center of percussion, and after that we will go for the numericals. So please take care of yourself. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.